During the wash display case project, I had to mortise out and install some Brusso brass hinges. And I thought that maybe that process of installing hinges could be beneficial to somebody who's never had to do it before. So I took segments from that video and made this video and then add a little bit of detail to it. Hopefully it helps.
I'm going to show you how I installed these Brusso brass hinges, not sponsored. I use them because I like the quality, and you can see the difference in thickness compared to regular brass hinges that I bought at a woodworking store. These particular hinges have a 95-degree stop too, which is helpful in improving the overall functionality of the box. I start off by placing the hinges where I want them on the box. In this case, I flip the hinge over so I can use the hinge barrel as a reference. I put the barrel of the hinge against the side of the box, and then using a marking knife, I score a line around each side of the hinge. This particular knife wasn't very expensive and I really like it. I'll leave a link in the description below. To know how deep to cut the mortise for the hinges, I'll use my combination square. I set the square to the thickness of the hinge, and once again, using my marking knife, I score a reference line. Using the widest chisel that I have, I put the end of my chisel into the score marks around the perimeter of the hinge and lightly tap it with the mallet. This is just to deepen the reference line a bit. I then use a chisel to remove a thin layer of material up to my score lines. Oftentimes, I'll remove the material close to the reference line first. That way I don't accidentally remove too much material. I find that a smaller chisel works best for me to remove material, but then I like to switch to a wider chisel to fine-tune the fit and make sure the surface is even. When I get up to my score line, I once again put my chisel up to the line and lightly hammer it with a mallet to deepen the line. I then repeat the process of removing material until the hinge fits in place. To mark corresponding mortises in the lid of the box, I place the lid on the box bottom and use a marking knife to score the corners. These are only reference points so I know where to place the hinge on the box lid. I then repeat the same process as before. I score the perimeter of the hinge with a marking knife, use a combination square to mark how deep I want the mortise, and then I use a wide chisel to deepen the score lines. Pairing with the chisel up to the score line quickly gives me a visible reference so I know not to remove material past my line. I make multiple passes with the chisel until I've removed enough material that the hinge fits in place. Cutting the mortises helps to keep the hinge in place, but it's also important for me to drill my screw holes as centered as possible. I use a centering bit to drill my pilot holes. Since my hinges are brass, and brass is soft, I'll also use a steel screw to thread the holes before screwing the brass ones in. Another tip is to put a little bit of wax on your screws. It really helps to reduce the friction when screwing them in the wood.
Hopefully this short video helped to demystify mortising hinges. It's really not that bad if you break it down step by step. If you enjoyed this video, check out the companion one that shows me making this entire box. If you enjoyed this sort of content, please subscribe. And if you want to stay up to date on the latest happenings in my shop, you can follow me on Instagram at genealogistwoodworker. Until we meet again, get in your shop and build something awesome.